Have you ever stood in your front yard, staring at a growing pile of dry leaves after yet another sweep, sighed and thought, all right, I'll just gather them up and burn them? Done. I believe you have. A lot of people have. I used to think that way too. Fallen leaves, kitchen scraps, vegetable peels, coffee grounds, a little bit every day. But over time, they pile up into a real burden. The house feels small, time is short, the smell is unpleasant. And the fastest solution we usually choose is to throw everything away. But have you ever stopped and asked yourself, why is it that the more convenient our lives become, the more exhausted we feel dealing with the waste we create ourselves? Here's the irony. While we spend money buying fertilizer, buying organic vegetables, buying clean food, right in front of us is a massive resource we're treating as useless trash. That pile of dry leaves isn't garbage, it's nutrition. It's soil, it's life, if you know how to wake it up. So the real question isn't, what can dry leaves be used for? The real question is, do we truly understand how nature works? And from that moment on, my journey of turning dry leaves into compost in just a few days began. Understand it right to do it fast. The story of dry leaves, microorganisms, and the mistakes we keep making. A common misunderstanding about dry leaves. Seeing nature through the eyes of a broom. Have you ever looked at a pile of dry leaves and thought, this stuff is only good for sweeping up or burning? I've heard that sentence so many times it's almost automatic, from city homes to rural villages. Leaves fall, they become trash. Trash must be cleaned up. Clean fast, clear the yard, clear the walkway. But if you've ever stepped into an old forest, you'll notice something strange. No one sweeps the leaves. No one burns them. And yet the forest soil is always loose, dark, and rich with that unmistakable earthy smell. Trees grow strong, healthy, and resilient with very little human intervention. In a forest, dry leaves are not waste. They are the foundation of an entire ecosystem. The problem is this: we apply a house cleaning mindset to a biological process that belongs to nature. And by doing that, we unknowingly break a nutrient cycle that has existed for millions of years. Why do dry leaves at home decompose so slowly? A truth few people talk about. Many people have tried composting dry leaves and then given up. They sit there for months, even a year, looking almost unchanged. No mold, no breakdown, no sign of life. So the conclusion comes quickly. Dry leaves are hard to decompose. But from the perspective of someone who's worked with compost for years, let me be clear. Dry leaves are not difficult. They're just starving. Dry leaves are rich in carbon, and that's a good thing. Carbon forms the backbone of healthy soil. But microorganisms, the real workers of decomposition, can't survive on carbon alone. They need at least 3 essentials: nitrogen to build their bodies, water to stay active, easily available energy, usually simple sugars. When a pile of dry leaves sits outside, brittle and bone dry, with no water and no quick food source, the microbes go into something close to hibernation. Not because they're lazy, but because the environment is too harsh. It's like locking someone in a cold room with no food and no water. No matter how strong they are, they can't work. So the problem isn't that dry leaves don't break down. The problem is that we leave microorganisms hungry, thirsty, and cold. The core mindset behind fast composting. Not a trick, but biology. People often ask me, what additive do you use? Is there some special enzyme? Do you have a magic activator? My answer usually disappoints them. There is no magic. Fast compost doesn't come from an expensive packet of powder. It comes from understanding that microorganisms are living beings. They're much more like us than we think. They need food to work. They need water to move. They need a safe environment to multiply. Once you understand this, you'll start to see that many products on the market are selling peace of mind, not the real solution. Instead of asking, what should I buy? The right question is, what are my microorganisms missing? Answer that correctly, and you won't depend on costly additives anymore. The awakening solution, the step that changes everything. I still clearly remember the first time I applied this solution. One morning, I stood in front of a thick pile of dry, crunchy leaves, hearing them crackle under my feet. I didn't expect much. I just thought, let's try one more time. But this time, do it properly. The solution was incredibly simple. Clean water. Let tap water sit to let chlorine evaporate. A small amount of fresh compost or worm castings, what I call seeds of life. 1 small spoon of unsulfured molasses. After mixing and letting it sit for about 12 hours, you're essentially doing what nature does, just faster. You're giving microbes instant energy, placing them in water so they can move freely, and preparing them for a controlled biological explosion. Molasses is fast food. Fresh compost provides living microbes. Water softens the leaf structure, allowing microbes to penetrate. You're not creating anything artificial. You're simply mimicking the forest ecosystem on an accelerated timeline. The process, do it right from the start to avoid fixing mistakes later. Most compost failures happen right at the beginning. Leaves are packed too tightly, too much water is added, or the pile is sealed like plastic wrap. My advice, let your compost breathe from day one. Pile the leaves loosely or place them in a bin without compressing them. If possible, shred or crush the leaves. It may seem like extra work, but it dramatically shortens decomposition time by increasing surface area for microbes. When watering with the solution, aim for the feel of a well-wrung sponge, moist but not dripping. If water is running out, you've gone too far. Then lightly cover the pile with cardboard, burlap, or straw, not to seal it, but to retain moisture and protect it from harsh sunlight. Imagine your compost pile as a sleeping organism. Shield it from the sun, give it enough water, but don't suffocate it. The moment that surprises everyone, when the pile comes alive. The most memorable moment usually comes after the first 24 hours. You place your hand on the pile and feel warmth. Not hot, just warm, like forest soil under a canopy of trees. That's the first sign microbes are working. After 48 hours, the leaves soften and darken. The dry, sharp smell disappears, replaced by a pleasant, earthy scent. By day 3, the pile visibly shrinks. Nature moves fast when it's fed properly. People often ask me, did you add something special? I just smile. Nothing special. The microbes were simply no longer abandoned. A common mistake that kills fast compost, forgetting to let it breathe. Even I failed at one point, despite doing almost everything right. The pile started strong, then slowed down and developed an unpleasant smell. The cause? Lack of oxygen. Many people water correctly and cover carefully, but forget that aerobic microbes need air. You don't need aggressive turning. Just after 4 to 5 days, gently loosen the pile to create air pockets. Compost doesn't need to be beaten. It just needs to breathe. Maintaining momentum. When to add more solution? One application isn't always enough. If the pile is very thick, the weather is dry, or the leaves are old and tough, you can add more solution every 3 to 5 days. Not to force speed, but to maintain microbial life. Observe the pile. If it dries out, add water. If it cools completely, add energy. Good compost is guided by attention, not rigid formulas. What you should never add, respecting a living ecosystem. I always tell people, compost is a living system, not a trash bin. Meat, fish, oils, chemically treated paper, synthetic fertilizers, all of these disrupt microbial balance. When you add them, nature responds honestly, with odor, flies, and failure. The result, a reward for understanding methane. In warm conditions, after just 10 to 14 days, what you have is no longer dry leaves. It's loose, dark, earthy compost, clean nutrition for your plants, your garden, and your family's food. From what once seemed useless, you've created value. Not through force, but through understanding. Living green isn't hard. What's hard is understanding and being patient. Looking back on this journey, one thing is clear. The difference wasn't more effort. It was better thinking. Shifting from seeing dry leaves as trash to seeing them as resources. From forcing nature to obey us to listening to what it needs. When you manage household waste this way, you don't just reduce smell, trash, and fertilizer costs. You build a habit of slowing down, observing more, and reconnecting with the fundamental rules of life. Every handful of compost you create doesn't just feed plants, it restores the belief that we can live more sustainably, right in our own homes. This method doesn't fight nature, doesn't rely on chemicals, and doesn't need miracles. It simply gives microorganisms what they're missing. And interestingly, it's very similar to how artificial intelligence works today. AI doesn't replace humans. It amplifies our intelligence when we understand the problem correctly and ask the right questions. If you found this story helpful, start with the smallest pile of dry leaves around your home. And if you'd like to continue exploring practical, realistic ways to live greener, subscribe to the Compost channel. Together, we can turn what's thrown away into value, one day at a time.